567 day of Russian aggression Strait of Ukraine, the situation at the front. Today, the biggest news comes from Crimea. Here, Ukrainians conducted the biggest and most successful strike on the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Local residents filmed multiple subsequent explosions in Sevastopol Bay and huge plumes of smoke rising towards the sky in the aftermath. The analysts quickly identified the location based on the footage and concluded that the fire actually seemed to be coming out of the area west of the bay with the Russian fleet. Soon, local officials reported that most rockets were shot down and that the fires were quickly localized and put out. However, the situation was much worse. Based on the NASA firm's data, the targets of the strike were located in the eastern part of the bay. Later released footage allowed to make a definitive conclusion. Ukrainians targeted the maintenance and repair facilities of the Russian fleet. At the moment of the strike, there were two intact ships that were undergoing maintenance work. The assault landing ship, Minsk, and the submarine, Rostov na Donu. Due to the abundance of confirmations online, the Russian Ministry of Defense had to admit that both vessels were damaged. The spokesman for Ukrainian intelligence reported that Ukrainians likely inflicted irreparable damage not only to both vessels, but also to the repair facilities. Recently released satellite footage gave more insight into the extent of the damage. When it comes to the assault landing ship, Minsk, we can see that the aluminum top part of the ship completely collapsed to the bottom, and the explosion likely caused a fire in the engine room as the whole ship was clearly burning. Given the extent of the damage, the ship can be considered destroyed, and this is already the third assault landing ship that Russians lost over the last year, the first one being hit in Berdyansk and the second one in the sea by a drone. When it comes to the $300 million submarine, Rostov na Donu, the vessel also received critical damage and was clearly burning. Russian analysts concluded that it would likely be easier to build a new submarine than repair this one, which is why the Russian carrier of caliber missiles can be considered destroyed as well. On top of that, it was reported that up to 40 Russian Marines were killed and wounded. At first, it was reported that the casualties were among the factory workers. But since the attack was conducted at night and there were no workers on the site, the losses were only among the Marines that were on the watch. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed that Ukrainians conducted a strike using 3 Marine kamikaze drones and 10 cruise missiles. Interestingly, without specifying the type, the most prominent Russian sources reported that Ukrainians used modified S-200 ballistic missiles and that 7 of them were shot down. However, the Ukrainian Air Force commander Mykola Oleshchuk made a comment and jokingly said that the Russian fleet was caught in a storm today, hinting that Ukrainians used Storm Shadow missiles. When it comes to today's Ukrainian strike, Ukrainians developed a very complex strategy. At first, Ukrainians launched at least 3 Marine kamikaze drones. The goal of this attack was to divert Russian attention toward the sea. Russian sources reported that all 3 drones were destroyed by the patrol ships, although later it was confirmed that Russians lost a boat in the western part of the sea, so it is possible that at least 1 drone hit the target. Simultaneously, Ukrainians launched several S-200 missiles toward the Black Sea Fleet. Ukrainians understand that the air defense here is quite powerful, which is why they did not expect these missiles to pass through but rather used them for identification of the Russian air defense. Once the missiles were shot down, Ukrainians reportedly launched at least 2 HARM missiles that are designed to pick up electronic signals from radars and destroy them, which completely blinds the air defense system. Finally, Ukrainians launched Storm Shadow missiles, and at least 3 of them reached their destination. The head of the Ukrainian Air Force stated that the destruction of these 3 ships is just the beginning, and more strikes on Crimea are to come in the near future.